He pointed his flashlight at the shopping cart between them, and then from one face to the other. "Unless one of you is named Safeway, it looks to me like that cart doesn't belong to either of you, and if you don't shut up, I'll lock you both up for stealing it." The two swayed as they stared at Sean, as though trying to figure out who he was and where he'd come from. Perkins refocused on the cart, giving it a yank with one hand as he shook a fist at Williams. The thought that one might actually try and throw a punch at the other amused Danny. "I want you both to step away from that cart and sit down," he said, pointing to a spot on the ground with his flashlight. Danny watched Williams seem to contemplate the few feet he had to move, give it a shot, and fell, landing hard before rolling over onto his stomach. "Ow!" Perkins just more or less collapsed into a heap of himself, miraculously ending up in a sitting position. "How much have you gentlemen been drinking tonight?" asked Danny. Williams hadn't moved since turning onto his stomach, except to curl into a relaxed fetal position with one hand under his head. Perkins looked like he was going to nod off sitting up. Neither man responded to the question. To Danny, these two were like a cranky old married couple. Although numerous warrant checks had been run on both men over the years, protocol dictated that it be done again. Danny put his hand on the top of his belt and exhaled forcefully. "Officer Rollins, you want to call in and see if these boys have been behaving lately? Can't risk turning them loose on the public without a warrant check." Sean looked at Danny for a moment before responding. "Oh, right. Why don't I be the one to walk all the way to the car and call the station? You stay here and save your strength for your date." "You know what? I'll go back to the car. You stay and impress these guys with good police work." Danny walked back to the patrol car. This stop was going to make him late getting home. Carol would accept it as part of the job, but Danny knew she would worry. He didn't need any more strikes against him or the job. Reaching through the window, he grabbed the radio and called the station. He gave the answering officer the names of the two men and asked for a warrants check. It seemed to take forever for a response. Danny sniffed at the sleeves on his shirt, wondering if any of the stink from under the bridge had stuck to him. The car radio popped. "Unit 38, come in, please. Over." "This is 38. Over." "Officer, are you sure about those names you called in? Can you repeat them, please? Over." Danny confirmed the names, then waited for the report back. What he heard made no sense to him at all. Danny dropped the radio to his chest, giving himself a moment to take it all in. Then he burst out laughing. "Officer, are you kidding me? Are you sure we're talking about the same two guys?" The station officer confirmed his information. "Copy that," Danny sighed. "Look, we've known these guys for years, and there is no way they could pull off any of that stuff. On a good day, they're drunk by noon. Are you positive about this?" "Have I ever lied to you, officer?" Danny could hear the smile in the answer. "Over." It took Danny a few seconds to be able to respond. "Okay, then. We'll bring them in. Over." He stood for a moment, staring at the radio as though it had malfunctioned. He returned it to the car and headed back to the bridge. Walking sideways down the bank to keep his balance, he joined Sean. He didn't say a word to or look at his partner. He just hooked his thumbs in his belt and stared at the two men at his feet, now passed out. Sean cocked his head to one side. "Well, are you going to tell me what you found out so we can finish here and leave, or are you just going to stare at these guys? There still might be time for you to buy me a beer and cry about your missed date." "I'm afraid that's not how it's going to go tonight, Officer Rollins." Danny studied the sleeping men at his feet. Even after all these years on the job, he didn't understand how people could drink themselves into this kind of shape. "You're not going to believe this. Mr. Perkins and Mr. Williams have been busy since we last saw them. What, a couple of months ago? Between them, they have warrants for fraud, theft, forgery, and a whole host of other shit." Sean snickered. "Yeah, right. And I'm wanted for grand theft auto. You want to quit messing around so we can wrap it up here?" "But this part is even better," Danny said, ignoring Sean's question. "A couple of days ago, our friends here tried to steal about $1 million and got away with 300,000 of it.